It's difficult for me to discern if there are any parts of this culture that aren't in some way influenced by Buddhism. Every day, we were introduced to new aspects of Myanmar culture that we didn't realize existed. Over the trip, making sure we were being polite became second nature. The presence of shrines in public areas and homes began to go unnoticed, and by the end of the trip, we were used to everything that had seemed so odd when we first got there. Taking off our shoes was habitual when we entered stores. I only sat cross-legged or kneeled when I ate. I learned how to use my fingers as utensils and my hands as a language translator. Being accepting and open was the only way I knew how to approach new occurrences, and by the end, I realized how substantial their religion is to them. In fact, it's everything. It has lost its essence as a religion a long time ago, and became their way of life. I never thought that feet could be such a central governor of life here. The only shoes people wear are flip-flops. Some shops and homes we went into have shoes for separate house occasions. At the Shwedagon, the monk procession was done totally barefoot. I realized how important the baring of feet is to the Burmese when they rolled out a carpet on the marble, purely so people could walk barefoot in the pagoda.
I looked at the food at the chaotic tea shop the first morning. All I could think was, what is this? Will it make me sick? Can I eat this? Will it taste good? They put out many bowls of food in front of us. It was so overwhelming. I knew I had to be careful about what I was eating and drinking because I did not want to get sick. Over time, I got used to the food, used to eating lots of greasy foods and having rice and noodles with every meal. And not to mention drinking tea at every single place we went. After a while, I started to get sick of the rice. I had never eaten so much rice in my life. It was hard to eat there because we had to use our hands as utensils. I thought to myself, why in the world would I eat with my dirty hands? It took a while to get used to it. For some people, it was second nature, but for others, it was not. It was hard to order food. We would go to the tea shop and say in Burmese, "Can we have tea?" They would reply, "Coffee?" Being Americans, they thought all we wanted was coffee. Another difficulty we faced was that noodles were known as salad. So when you thought you might finally have a salad, you were really just getting more noodles.
What made me come on this trip was no mythical amulet or letter from Hogwarts. What enticed me was the trip into the unknown. Myanmar is a private, secluded land, somehow hidden right in the middle of Southeast Asia. Not many know who live there, or even that it exists. That's what brought me here. To give myself the opportunity to travel to my own Netherland, or Hogwarts, and experience incredible moments, as well as create memories and help crack open the mystery of Myanmar. The journey here was a long one and a tiresome one. Traveling to Myanmar was almost literally a shot in the dark. Our arrival into Yangon at 12 p.m. was disconcerting, and it started me off without a legitimate idea of downtown Yangon. The streets were empty and there were gangs of street dogs, limping or skinny or both. I thought we were in the ghetto, but it was just the unknown. At the beginning of the trip, our group was just as unknown to us as the city. Having only a few close bonds pushed us to form new ones, and make the existing ones stronger. We soon realized that our companions were the only source of potential familiarity, and like animals to a watering hole, we meandered into a semi-state of familiarity. Soon after, though, the journey became more about self-awareness rather than group bonding, and we became less dependent on familiarity. Soon, failure and trying again becomes just as familiar as our few close friendships, just as victory becomes just as tangible as our memories of friends back home.
The homestay had occurred only 2 days before the last leg of our trek. It was terrifying. To say the least, I was panicking. My day began in a city with a bustling market, hotels, bathrooms where we didn't have to squat, and showers with running water. Although at the time it didn't feel like we were living in the lap of luxury, indeed we were. Because only 10 hours later we would be in a village with no running water. Toilets were very different, and showers that were outside. And in order to shower, you had to wear a traditional longi, which was a single piece of fabric wrapped around your body. Within minutes after our arrival, we were shown outside to take bucket showers in the breezy air of the night. An impossible task for a girl. Washing my long hair in the dark after 3 days of outdoor travel seemed like the impossible. But isn't everything possible? And so I did it. I had butterflies in my stomach upon entering my homestay. I had to climb up a ladder-like thing to enter the home. The home was small, the size of my kitchen at home. In the center was a small round table where we would eat dinner. As in most cultures, I assumed I'd be having dinner with my family. Instead, upon arrival, they served me dinner, but I ate solo. Initially, it was an uncomfortable silence as they watched me eat and were unable to communicate with each other. So we shared a few smiles and giggles even though there was no communication. A smile meant the world to me at the time. It made me feel warm inside, showing that maybe things were in fact going all right. I did not need to hear words to know that we had a connection. Yet another moment in silence. It was early in the morning, 5:30 a.m. to be specific. We were off on yet another trip. Like many other things I had done on the trip, I found myself in complete silence. It seemed to be part of the culture, meditation, and peacefulness. It was uncomfortable. I found myself drowning in all my thoughts, and my mind was flooded. I thought, isn't silence supposed to be peaceful? This is so hard, is all I could think to myself. It had been a long day of hiking up the mountain range, trudging through mud, and sweating because of the sun continuously shining down. At points, my feet would disappear into the mud, hidden under the earth. Every few steps, my shoes would have a new sole made entirely of a layer of mud. I would get it off, but what was the point, as it would come right back. However, every once in a while, after staring at the ground, watching where I was walking, I would look up to see the most spectacular view. A view like no other. In the morning, the fog covered our sight, and all we could see was a few inches in front of us. But as it started to clear up, the view became incredible. Rice paddies on the rolling hills, one hill leading into the next, and women wrapped in bright red cloth with large woven baskets on their heads. One minute I would be surrounded by greenery, and the next time I looked up I would see the luscious mountains, and they seemed as though they just came out of nowhere.
To have the full Myanmar experience, one must be totally immersed in the culture. This entails the letting go of old memories, perhaps an old fear that prevents us from exploring and experiencing new adventures, or a conflicting relationship that demands to be remembered. Letting go is significant in order to create new space for thoughts and feelings here, and it is when you release the past by being in the moment that you create the best memories.